All right, here we go. Good morning. Almost noon. Good morning, Periscope. I'll give a couple minutes just to see who can log on midday for the midday message. I see Miss Portia's on. Pastor Kaysen is on. DS0905 Blackdown. Where you guys from? Not sure. I catch all of those names. Hello. Thank you for the hearts already. We are on day 11, going strong in our growing forward. And again, just want to give a couple of quick tips today. Sorry about that. For our January jump start to a new year. Again, we are intentional this year about growing up, being adult about life. Sometimes we kind of childishly make decisions, childishly go through things. I believe just with some tips to help us kind of move forward. If you don't mind, why don't you go ahead and invite a few people. Today we are talking about confronting criticism. This is not just about how good you feel or how great people say you are, not just about awards and accolades. There will be times in life where you are criticized. You cannot let that crush you. You cannot let that break you. You cannot be bent out of shape simply because you had some small criticism. So today we're going to talk about confronting that criticism. And whether you have an iPhone or Android, why don't you go ahead and invite a few people to join us for probably about 5, maybe 7 minutes. Swipe left or swipe down on your phone, depending on which device you have. And you should be able to invite a few people, again, as we start talking about confronting your criticism. Okay, here we go. Let's start. Thank you for the invites. Thanks for the invites. Thanks for the hearts as well. First thing I want to talk about when you are criticized. Step one, and let's kind of put in frame. Criticism is when someone says something, about you didn't like, or something that you did they didn't like, or maybe they see something wrong with something that you think you did incredibly well. It can happen anywhere. It can happen with family, with friends. It can happen with your spouse. It can happen in church and ministry. It can happen on your job. Everywhere we go, criticism is really an option for those around us. And if we're honest, you can't control what other people say. I mean, let's just call it like it is. I think grandmama said a long time ago, you cannot control other people, but you can control you. Glad you made it. Smiley for me. Glad you finally made it to that broadcast. And listen, let me just say, for anyone else, if you have some comments, go ahead and type those in. Or if you have questions during this scope, we want those so that we can all grow together. So listen, here's the first thing that happens. Whenever we talk about confronting criticism, first and foremost, you have to stay calm and listen. One of the tragedies to critique is that when people give you critique or when people make some statements about, what's going on around you or with you, the first thing most people do, and I'll, for this conversation, say immature people do, is we go on the defense. No, that didn't happen. Well, here's what I was trying to do. We give explanations for it. No. If you're really going to confront criticism and be successful, just listen. Listen to what the person has to say. Listen to why they're saying it. And most importantly, try to see it from their perspective. Don't be so defensive. Don't be so naive in your thinking that you believe it had to happen your way. Just listen. Get your emotions together. Take your emotions off of your sleeve. Calm down. Count to 10 if you need to. And just listen. That's the first thing you got to do. Secondly, if you're going to be able to confront criticism and be successful, you have to consider the source. Sometimes we lash out at people or we respond too quickly when the person that's actually giving the critique has no authority and or no level of respect in such a way where you should even consider what they're saying as true. Now, many times, there's going to be some really good critiques, and critiques help us grow. But in some cases, you got to just learn how to consider the source. Who's saying it? A silly example, if I'm at a place, let's say Papa John's getting pizza, and the person from Subway comes by and says, that's awful, that pizza looks bad. I'm not necessarily going to be bent out of shape because the person who makes subs tells me that my pizza doesn't taste good or looks right. They just don't have any authority in that area. And sometimes we get bent out of shape when people critique us. They critique our work. They critique how we look. They critique, what we've done. They critique how you raise your children. They critique your ministry and how you performed in other places or how you serve in that place. when in fact they really aren't a credible source for the critique. Some things you can just ignore. Just wipe the dust off your feet, shake it off your shoulders, move forward, and not crumble because of a critique that was given by someone who really had no valid concern or no valid place. Always consider the source. That's number 2. So 1, stay calm and listen. 2, consider the source. The third thing you want to do whenever you confront any type of criticism is you have to be honest and sometimes admit that you may in fact be wrong. Yeah, I said it. We make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all do some things subpar. As a matter of fact, if you're growing in 2016, one of the things you'll know is that as you embrace new areas of life, as you go after new passions, as you set new goals and you start to change and make amendments, the truth is you probably aren't going to do right the first time. Let me say it again. The truth is you probably aren't going to do it the best the first time you do it, or right the first time you do it. You probably really do need some areas of improvement. There probably are some things. You got to remember, you're doing this for the first time, or you're doing it again, or it's been a while, or you're making an adjustment. There's a high chance that there are some areas that you could really enhance in. And the critique is not meant to crush you. It's not meant to tear you down. It can really be given to help make you better. I do John Maxwell leadership coaching. Shameless plug there. If you're interested in being a coach or you're interested in being coached, check out cmileadership.com. And one of the things that took place in my time with John Maxwell is he tells a story about this guy who was writing a book. And, the guy wrote the book, emailed it to him. He responded to the email, "This is not your best work." So the guy writes some more, sends him another email of the manuscript. Maxwell responds to him, "I know you can do better." Third time, he sends him the book again. Maxwell responds with, "Give me some more work. You can work harder than that." The fourth time, the guy's not going to email it. He actually meets John Maxwell in Florida where he lives and hands him the book and says, "Listen, this is my best work. You're going to accept this." Maxwell grabs it, takes it from his hand and says, "Okay, now I'll read it." See, what Maxwell teaches and what he knows is no one does their best work the first time. Things take practice. You got to give it a go over and over again. Repetition and ritual, the religion and the rigor of activity is what make us better. And actually the critique that you get, you should warrant, or you should want it and you should co-sign on it, because sometimes those critiques really do help make you a better person. So if in fact that's the case, there are going to be some times you are going to be wrong, and you just got to admit it and accept it. That same John Maxwell, he writes a book actually entitled Failing Forward. And what he talks about is how often our failures can be used to move us forward. What better quote and example, right? When we're talking about growing forward this year. Don't beat everyone up because they critique you. There are some critics that are really there to help build you. Matter of fact, it's Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill says criticism may not be agreeable, but it is necessary. He says it fulfills the same function as pain in the body. It calls attention to an unhealthy state of things. I'm not saying that you're perfect, nor am I saying that we are the worst things in the world or that you just don't get it right. But I am saying that there are moments in the critique, in the criticism, that we have to accept, be honest, admit it, and take responsibility. One writer says that if you can take the blame when you deserve it, then you'll also get the responsibility. There's some jobs, there's some assignments, there's some ministries, there's some places that you won't even get into until you can take responsibility for the areas that you've erred. That's the third tip. A quick review. 1, stay calm and listen. 2, consider the source. 3, be honest and admit that sometimes you're wrong. But then 4, remember you can't please everyone. You know what'll drive you crazy? Your blood pressure running up. You know what'll keep you stressed out? Trying to please every person in your life or every person you meet. That's never the goal. And again, the balance is trying to figure out, when have I made a mistake? When is the source not really valid? And when is this particular person that's giving me the critique a person that I am supposed to please? Again, you can't please everyone. You can't make everyone happy. Matter of fact, if you took 5 people and put them in a room and gave them one menu, there's a very low chance that they all want the same thing. And I'm saying if you are the item that's supposed to be chosen, or you're the person that's supposed to do a particular thing or accomplish a goal, you ask 5 people and all 5 of them could give you a different route or a different method. They could give you a different process. And you have to somehow discern or figure out which one is really suitable for the steps God's ordering you in. Don't beat yourself up trying to please everyone. Find people you respect, assign mentors, give authority and authorize a set of people, 2 to 3, 5 at most, and let them know that I'm expecting you to critique me because I'm giving you authority to hold my future, my goals, my aspirations, and whether I succeed in your hands. And some of you listening to that saying, I've never put my future in somebody else's hands. Well, maybe in another scope, I talk about how challenging that is. No one can be an island. You can't do it by yourself. It is not good for man to be alone. God always uses couples, and the world is set up for you to collaborate with someone. So criticism is important. You can't run from it. You can't always evade or escape or elude confrontation and criticism. You need it, but know at the same time you can't please everyone when you get it. Finally, as a step to really confront criticism, we all must know how to respond. Now, what do? I've heard this criticism. I stopped to listen to it. I've considered if the source is authentic and has real authority. I've already determined whether I was right or wrong and accepted maybe some areas that I may have erred. I decided that I'm listening to this person because I can't please everyone. Now, what do? First, I think gratitude is always in order. When people help you, even if it hurts to help, I think thank you is always in order. I appreciate your comments. I want to say thank you for caring enough about me to even share, your concerns. And then I think the best part of the response is after you speak verbally and audibly in some type of gratitude, then you go back and reassess, reevaluate, really determine how you can make changes or amendments to that assignment, to how you live, to what you did or what you said, so that this criticism isn't just a moot point or a vain moment in life. You want to be able to take that criticism and somehow create a better you or a better project, a better ministry. And let me say this, I probably should have said it up front, that most of us are criticized when we are subservient, when we're the children or when we are the employees. I think criticism is best served and kept by those who are already in upper management. Pastors should have someone who gets to criticize them. Managers should have someone. Parents, we criticize our kids, but we ought to have someone who can criticize even maybe how we parent. I think it's probably the person who has the most power and authority that gets the less criticism, which also now stunts your growth. See, criticism is given to help create something new. So when you get it, you respond in action. You respond in change. You respond in growth. That's why I thought we talked about that today. Because if we're going to grow forward, if we're going to grow forward, it really requires that we confront, not run from, not avoid, not defend and explain, but we learn how to confront criticism. It's day 11. Confront your criticism and watch God grow you. There are multiple scriptures that I could probably lean on here, many of which you've heard and many of which you know already. I'll leave you with a couple just as a reminder. Proverbs 11:2. It says, when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. Proverbs 16:5 says this. It says, everyone who is arrogant in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Be assured he will not go unpunished. Proverbs 29:23, last scripture. One's pride will bring him low, but he who is lowly in spirit will obtain honor. Listen, all of those scriptures say the same thing. Don't be so prideful that you are unwilling to confront, handle, receive, and grow from criticism. Have a great day. Looking forward to day 12. Just as a sneak peek, it's Friday. Tomorrow will be Friday. And when Friday comes, we're going to engage in, a quick fast. So go ahead and get ready for that. Hope you're growing forward. Hope you're sharing this. Hope you're using it so that you can mature in what God has for you. Be blessed.